Last week, Gidon spoke about his feelings for being in Israel during this stabbing intifada. Now I'd like to give a Christian response. You know, as Christians, it is difficult to be safe in your own home while you know that your friends in Israel are under such constant threat. I think there's something inside of us that wants to reach out and at least see some purpose, some value to this horrible event. How is this going to progress the move of God on the earth? Well, at Root Source, one of the things that we do is we try to look specifically at the events that happen and try to see them through God's eyes to see if we can find His story, His fingerprints on events. So let's do this with respect to the terrorist attacks. When did they begin? The initial event occurred on Elul 29, the last day of the previous Shemitah year. What happened was some Palestinian youths in the cover of darkness gathered rocks and flare guns and went into the Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount, barricaded themselves in. What was their idea? They knew that Jews often like to visit the Temple Mount on the day before a holiday. So their idea was to rush out of there during the visits and disrupt it. There was a rumor that this was happening, as well as there was a rumor that there might actually be a bomb planned. So the Israeli police did not wait for 8 o'clock in the morning when the visits to the Temple Mount might begin. Instead, they confronted this group at 6:45 a.m. on September 13th. They immediately, all of a sudden, now the rocks and flare guns are being fired at the Israeli police. They storm the mosque, they break down the barricades, and guess what? They find a pipe bomb inside the mosque that was supposed to be used. Now, the irony of this is that once this happened, the Temple Mount was cleared, and so over 500 Jews were able to safely visit the Temple Mount on Elul 29, September 13th of 2015. And they were even able to pray on the Temple Mount. What could God be doing for good in this?
500 Jews just prayed in the Jubilee. The Jubilee year is, as you know, the 50th year, and it's a rest year. It starts only after a Shemitah year ends. They don't come around very often. We had one in 1917-18, and guess what happened? That was the year of the Balfour Declaration, followed by 5 weeks later, General Allenby of the British Army capturing Jerusalem away from the Ottoman Empire. And in 1966-67, we had another Jubilee year, the Six-Day War, and Jerusalem being reunified. What's the principle of the Jubilee year? Well, the laws of the Jubilee state that no matter what the reason, whether it was your own fault, whether your land was taken from you, your land shall be returned to you in the Jubilee year. This is why in our book, one of the 4 main topics we address is the Jubilee. We think this Jubilee year that we've just entered is going to be decisive for Israel and the nations.
How should Christians respond and pray during this Jubilee year? I think the very safest thing we can possibly do, and possibly the most important, is to pray that God's full and complete will would be done during this Jubilee year. That prayer assures we don't get on the wrong side of God's will. But we need to pray in that God would fully complete what He intends to do. And may it be that He restores something very important to the Jewish people before October 2nd of 2016. Thanks and shalom.